So, starting with the very first question, Dhruv, I think let's start with your journey. How was your journey? When were you ever an average boy, or did you change orbits somewhere middle? How have you been in academics since your early days?
I was studious, but I think I was not very good. But I was trying to be studious at least. I was not so good.
So, did you ever change orbits?
Orbits in the sense, I mean, yeah, at some point in ninth grade or somewhere that I realized that I do want to be smart, sort of. So then I started studying a bit.
So, when you were जब आप इसकी पढ़ने लगे थे, when did you come to know about physics Olympiad? Olympiads की तैयारी कब शुरू करी? What motivated you to go for Olympiads?
In Pune, where I stay, Math Olympiads are very famous. Everybody is known to be good at math. But yeah, and so similarly, at some point in ninth grade, I learned that there is this examination called RMO, which is a Math Olympiad. And gradually, around the same time, between 9th and 10th grade, I realized there are similar things in physics as well. I had no work, so then I decided, let's do this.
Which all Olympiad did you write?
So this year I just gave physics. Last year I gave astronomy. I passed astronomy. Before that I did math.
In class 11, Dhruv cleared INAO and INPHO. And in grade 10th, I guess Dhruv got to like INMO camp, right?
Yeah, barely so. But yeah,
but yeah, you got there. He's like very humble.
Dhruv, a lot of students have been, pouring questions, asking about your preparation methods, your resources that you follow. So can you talk about the books and resources you followed in chronological order?
Before around the time I met sir, I had done that at Varma, and then I was doing Erodov. Because I think one of my seniors had given me a copy of Erodov. I was doing that. And I had Krotov as well. But I hadn't done much of that. Then sir introduced me to Pathfinder, which was, pretty tough at that stage to start solving. But then somehow we started doing that. And then at some point, we were done with all the easy questions of Pathfinder probably. And at that time we did all these INPHO and USA. They're pretty similar. We did those. And then we finished the rest of Pathfinder. Because like that 1 year when I wrote IOQP, as it was in that year.
In year 2020, like when he was in class
21. In 21.
Yeah, it was like NSEP 2020.
Yeah.
So right now we're talking about 10th grade, right? When he was in 10th grade, after completing HCV, you were doing Erodov, Krotov, but not in a structured manner. And when you came in touch with Chandan sir, you started doing Pathfinder.
Yes.
And once you started doing Pathfinder, you were able to go through all the easy ones. But before you picked the tougher ones, there was a stage where you solved US PHO questions.
USA and the Indian ones as well. But that year I failed very badly in both IOQPs, the first part of IOQP, whatever. But then after that, we finished the rest of Pathfinder, which was a big chunk, which was left. We finished that. And then I think since then I'm just doing papers which sir has translated, either from China or Russia, China. Yeah. Since then. And then obviously the Asian Physics Olympiad and International Physics Olympiad of past years.
So what I'm understanding is, apart from completing HC Verma, the book of HCV, both volumes, and partially completing Erodovs and Krotovs, right? Partially. Yeah. Or have you completed them completely?
At this stage, yes, but at that point, no.
Okay, at that point, no, but right now, we can say that you've completed...
Yeah, around that...
Okay, and Pathfinder. Besides these three books, you have only done Olympiad questions, be it Indian questions, be it USA questions, be it China questions, or be it Russian questions. Am I?
Yeah, there are other books as well. Many good reference books are there, which also have problems in them. So I did those as well. And then there are, handouts obviously of Jan Kalda, which are very, very famous, and Kevin's also, which are also famous. So, read a few things from those. And yeah, the other books are like, they are reference books, which also have problems. So some of those I did, like Morin, Griffiths and all. There was a stage when I think Sir and I were just doing Morin.
Morin.
Yeah, after when I just entered 11th grade. Probably.
Yes.
So initially, when I think we've talked about journey post 10th standard. Now let me take some time to go a little bit 9th or 8th. So you said you had done HCVs before you probably were in 10th standard.
No, when I was in 10th standard.
Okay, when you were in 10th, you did HCVs then. So did you do anything in 9th or 8th also?
No, I didn't know. As I told you, I didn't know of the existence of such things.
So what I'm understanding, Dhruv, is dear listeners, students, parents, there is no secret recipe for success. Or
exactly. So in fact, when you ask, like, did you think you would be here, etc., etc., I didn't know. I mean, I was just doing it, and you just do it.
Right. Bilkul, perfectly said. So, as he said, there's no shortcut. When you're doing, you just need to keep doing. Every one of us hit roadblocks. Every one of us find a lot of challenges. Chandan sir just illustrated his story, how he translated Chinese Olympiad questions into English. I mean, and that too from PDFs. It's not a Word document where you copy everything and you place it in a Google Translator. So from images, he transferred that. So ultimately, any challenge that you are encountering, there is nothing which you cannot overcome. All what it needs is sticking to the task and trying. So that's the ultimate message I'm taking from you, Dhruv. Correct me if I'm wrong. Chandan sir, आप बताएं, मतलब जब आप ध्रुव के साथ फर्स्ट टाइम आए थे, आपको लगा कि यार ध्रुव में यार ये 2-3 चीजें हैं जो जिसको ठीक करनी है, स्पेशली फ्रॉम अ कॉन्सेप्ट्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू?
Sir, actually, like again, as he was done with the basics, right? So one thing which I think we did correct, and I think Dhruv will still be working on it. So is like his approach is always very absolute, right? Means and he kind of like solve the question like starting from the very basic, right? And because like there is lot of maths involved, like if you don't take assumptions, right? So you kind of like forget about physics in somewhere in middle, right? But if you first see the situation, analyze it, okay, what is it trying to say? What approximations are better to take at the initial point? So that will make the problem easier, right? So he doesn't take those shortcuts, right? So like I might show you like the solutions where kind of like he could have solved this question in like half page and he even gone and on and on and on. Like, okay, so in the end I was saying like, maths is too difficult. I don't know how to get out of it. So then during Pathfinder days also, like he used to give me like a year-long mathematical solution. Then we used to discuss, okay, if you think it like, okay, what is happening in the situation physically, you might have find it out like at the first step only. So that's one thing I think we worked on, that those mathematical equations also have, a story behind them or meaning behind them, right? So we can just read that meaning at initial stages. So one thing is that. Second, I think what Dhruv is saying is like, okay, that again, because he starts the problem from like, he has one approach, right? So when we prepare for JEE, like we have like, okay, there are equations of motion, but equation of motion can be used like, okay, to solve this kind of problem, this kind of problem, this kind of problem. So there are so many cases involved with that. Right? So if you don't know the cases, it's easier for you to solve good problems. If you know the cases, it becomes harder and harder and harder to solve the problems because you kind of like start putting them in categories, right? And the first approach you have towards the problem is like, okay, you again, like try to identify it like, okay, which method did I use earlier? You don't start it from the basic. So like all the good problems, like if you start from the basic are easier to solve. And because once we get used to solving JEE problems and we start putting them in categories. So in the end, the problems that there are there like in physics Olympiads, they don't belong to any category. So effectively they start scaring you off because you are not actually comfortable solving them. So that's why it was easier for Dhruv because he never actually knew that part existed. He can actually put things on categories. So he always went like that, and whenever we got stuck, we again went back to the same thing. Okay, before that, again, I will want to say this. Before Dhruv, I because I myself have been teacher for JEE 9 years. So I myself corrected how I teach now.
Oh my God.
So effectively, but that was okay, how I think and how I solve the problems. It's entirely different now from what it was 3 years back. And now actually I find it very easier to solve problems compared to what I used to be.
So काफी बच्चों ने ये भी पूछा है कि सर ध्रुव के मेथड्स क्या हैं, कब सोता है, कब खाता है. कई पेरेंट्स तो ऐसे भी होंगे जो सोचते होंगे यार ये क्या खाता है, बादाम खाता है, 4 बादाम खाता है, 5 बादाम खाता है. So Dhruv, let's get into that. आपका डेली रूटीन कैसा था? I mean, generally, how's your schedule? Generally?
It's never fixed at the point. I mean, I don't know where this culture of this timetable should be there. I don't know where that comes from. Probably from JEE, but life doesn't work like that. You can wake up when you like, sleep when you like, study when you like. I did exactly that. There was no fixed timing. During the when it used to be close to the exam, I used to practice papers at the same time as the exam, which was the morning. That's the only thing that I had a schedule for. In morning, generally 8:30, I used to give the exam. As I said before, all the problems I've done are from exams only. So that used to be the only thing which used to sort of stay fixed, and that too just before the exams. But apart from that, whenever I felt like I used to study, whenever I felt like I used to sleep. So
did you ever encounter backlogs?
Backlog? We never really had such things as a fixed target that I should be done studying this by this time. So, if there is no target, then there is no backlog. But yeah, because it used to be like this. I will give one test on Monday, one on Wednesday, one on Friday. No, what is on Monday, it is done on Monday. There's no way a discrete test can be passed from Monday to Tuesday. So therefore, there was no backlog.
Okay. Did you ever oscillate between resources, books, or were you disciplined in terms of which content you are solving?
Okay, so I was exploring a lot of different places to start. So I on one side I used to be solving these papers that sir gave, and on the other side I was just learning physics for the heck of it. So I used to download lots of books, and I still do that, and I am doing that right now. But yeah, so there are thousands and thousands of books. They are all available, pirated, although I should not say that. They are there, so somebody should use them.
Okay, your notes. I'm pretty sure, Chandan sir. I'm sure we'll show your notes also to students. But were you a neat student in terms of writing step 1, step 2 very neatly,
no.
or it's to understand your notes, it would be a tougher task than translating a Chinese paper?
So I'm not sure what you mean by notes, but I don't think I've written notes or ever.
Okay.
So. But the way I solve problems are often very messy, and that has cost me a lot in both the Asian Olympiad and international as well. Yeah.
I used to force him, if you are writing using any basic principle, state that down, using this principle, this is what I'm writing. Or state every assumptions that you are taking, means it might not be apparent to the examiner. So
effectively, so I had to work a lot on that, but yeah.
Usually when exam used to approach, right? I used to like, okay, say now I'm going to be very strict, and if you don't write anything, I'm going to cut your marks. So then onwards, like he used to like, he had this method, right? If you look at his solutions, like no part of the A4 will be vacant. So if he kind of like writes it like this, then there is that corner in the A4. So he will go and scrabble something there and something. So I think once we had this talk, like I said, okay, it takes me a whole lot of time to understand what you are writing, right? So means I have to go back and forth. Okay, this might have been the step after this step and something like that. So I said, like, nobody's going to put a lot of work like I am doing reading your solutions. So it will be very apparent to the examiner, okay, what you are trying to say. So just write neatly, and like don't use extra spaces, vacant spaces for writing extra things or something like that.
And especially because these INPHOs and IPHOs have a lot of subjective portion. So I'm sure this is very, very important. Dhruv, usage of online tools. Students keep on asking, how should we use online as a mode? Any pointers there?
So the internet is a platter. It has everything. All kinds of cuisines are available on it. So when you want a specific dish, type that dish in the internet, you will get it. That's what I've done till date, and it works.
So one more thing, Hari sir, like I think he said he doesn't have a routine, right? And again, I think I just want to clarify that, because like students might take it otherwise. Okay, that he doesn't have a routine. It does not mean like, okay, he doesn't write, okay, I'm going to study this book from 3 to 5 p.m. He only means that, okay, it was not fixed. Okay, I'm going to do this into 3.
Yeah, I do something, but what
it does not mean he didn't do anything on some days, and he kind of like, okay, went off grid for like whole month and then came back and like for 5 days he studied or things like that.
No, I meant like what is to be done was generally not fixed.
So I'm sure. I think what I am interpreting is it's not that Dhruv is a very, very, I would say, a superhero or with extra powers. He's just like all of us. He's just like you students. And then it's just that he's kept things simple, to be honest. He's kept things simple in the terms whenever you feel the need to study, you study. It's as simple as that. And whenever you are stuck, keep trying. It's as simple as that. There is no best method or best timetable. It's basically up to what works for you. So it's just keeping it simple.
On an average, Dhruv, how many hours did you put in for self-study? Again, not the timetable type. How many hours?
Tough to say, but so the papers that you used to give me used to be 6-7 hours, but that's all mostly. Rest I used to just scroll through books and all. That's not proper. That's the thing, right? You cannot classify when you are studying and when you are not studying. Why? Because like even if you are reading a book on the internet, right? A book, your physics book, say for instance, or PDF you are reading. Now, do you classify that as studying or not? Because in some sense you are studying because it's an academic book. In some sense you are also not actually studying because you are not actively doing anything. You are just reading. So now things like this, they just keep running peripherally. Like right
now. Let's assume that's studying. Then what?
8 maybe per day. Not more than that.
Okay. And in initial days, means around 9th, 10th, 11th.
Similar. Not very different.
I guess that is like the more appropriate answer for kids.
I know that you're not going to IITs. You have chosen IIScs. Even you had an offer from Oxford. So why this path? Why not IITs?
Because I don't want to be an engineer.
Okay.
I've said this line like 1,000 times in my life, but yeah, that's just not my interest.
So what do you want to be?
But just want him to elaborate on this question. So let's say you don't want to be an engineer, but there are still science courses there in IITs, right?
Yeah.
So now again, you are choosing ISC over IIT in sciences too. So what's the reason behind that?
Yes. So I want to ultimately become a researcher. Hopefully I become that. But the IISc is meant, the very purpose of the existence of IISc is to push people towards research. And so I think for me, it is a better choice to go to a place that is actually created for research as opposed to an institute which is offering a course in a basic science. But, I mean, IIT is meant for engineers, so engineers should go there.
There was another reason I think you gave me, so related to the courses, the flexibility.
Yeah, and the flexibility of the courses. So over here it's more flexible in IISc.
In what sense?
Okay, so you can choose. There are lots of electives over here first, and I don't know about the same in IITs, but both in IISc as well as especially institutes abroad, you can choose what course you like and what specific part of physics that you want to go into.
And I guess he told me because he's almost through first 2 years of basic syllabus that we do classical mechanics, classical electrodynamics and all that stuff. So he can audit courses if he actually know those things in IISc. So he said I don't want to waste 2 years of my life doing the same thing which I have already done. So that was the major reason. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what's the case in IIT, but I never looked into it.
So why IISc? Why not Oxford and other options that you might have?
Okay, so Oxford did not, or for whatever reason, I did not get a scholarship from Oxford. Maybe it's my fault, but so I cannot go there.
Okay. Yeah. Again, keeping it very simple. Chandan sir, is there a story to it? Is there any other reason that probably you would like to add?
He told me, but if he wants to elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's primarily this reason.
Apart from IITs, there are a lot of students who say that, sir, I mean, we're preparing for JEE, but under parental pressure, our heart lies somewhere else. So
okay, so I mean, about physics, I can say there are ISRs as well. IISc, there is one in Pune as well, and IISc obviously is there. That's mostly all for India, but there are some IITs have physics courses. I mean, I don't know so much about them. But abroad, there are plenty of places. But if you have the means to go there, then you can. And they do offer scholarships. So, I mean, if you have the credentials and you have done enough work, then you should apply. I will also try to apply probably again.
All right. So students, I hope you've got the answer. Ultimate point is there are a lot of courses. There's no dearth of good courses.
So again, the thing is, if you want to learn, it's very simple. Everything is there for free on the internet. As I said, it's a platter. But if you also want to, because learning is not the only thing in research, right? It is, you have to come across a problem which you want to solve. You have to find other people who are working on that problem. You have to read papers, not just books on that problem. You have to speak to a lot of professors, and then you can start. At least this is what I know of. I mean, not that I know anything, but this is what I've heard at least. And for that, you don't need a university. So then for that, you have to do something. You can't just...
I guess Dhruv has already done a few courses online the subject that
doing courses is pretty. Doing courses is not that tough, but I mean again.
So the very first question I would like to ask is, how is JEE Physics different from Olympiad Physics?
Sir, one thing we can say is JEE syllabus is obviously it's limited, right? We have a particular set of concept which is in there in the syllabus, right? So I think what we have been doing as a teacher, on all those concepts, we try to make a lot of problems, right? I think every topic is over-explored, I would say. So we have like tons of problem based on like sub topics, right? So I think in their journey of 2 years, students do like all those problems tons of time. And when the exam paper comes, obviously, all the problems are more or less okay. We know, okay, means there are no surprises. We have done already all the concepts and right. So effectively, you just keep on practicing what is already there. And I think you will get a good score in JEE. So, sir, in Olympiads, I would say like Olympiad syllabus is not something like, okay, it's well written. Okay, this is what you should know, right? If you know this much, you will surely be able to do the problem. So, for example, let's say if the gravitational wave is a new discovery, so effectively, like you might end up with a question in IPHO, like maybe 2 years later or maybe the same year, if the people are working on that, someone from the organizing committee, right? So effectively, it's like, okay, the syllabus is not defined. So it's not like, okay, if you have practiced all the problems, you are going to get the problem which you have already practiced in the exam, right? So in IPHO or APHO preparation or generally Olympiad preparation, I think one would have to believe in his or her own basic concepts that this is I know, and like again believe on the organizing committee too, like that they will expect this much from a 12th grader. So if whatever extra information is required, they are going to provide us. So second, have faith in your basic concepts and like on your wits that, okay, I will be able to comprehend what they were trying to say in the exam environment itself, right? And then try to solve the question there only. So effectively, I think this is how both exams are different. One, which you can actually prepare for the type of problems, one which you can't. So for that, like you just have to keep on strengthening your basic concepts. Like if you are done with the school physics, and you still have tons of time available to you might want to go through the other standard books for recommended for college, like maybe Griffiths or Kleppner or those books, right? So you just might read them for fun also. So that will add to your, what should say, artillery that might come in handy in exam problems.
So ultimately, it's about both. If I have to summarize, what you're saying is, JEE Physics is you can put all the things in compartments. Olympiad Physics, you can't put things into compartments. So what you can do is just work on yourself, work on your basic understanding. Will this Olympiad preparation or preparation for Physics Olympiad is going to even help them in JEE, or should they not be? Should they only focus on JEE?
Okay, so this is what I would say. As I said, like okay, if you just want to like get a very good rank in JEE only, if that is your aim, you don't want to do anything with Olympiads. So I think like okay. You can just follow your the JEE modules and JEE books. At most, I guess like you can go through maybe Pathfinder, Objective, and BYUs. With that, I have seen like means in last my 4 years, 4 of my students getting a rank in top 50. So like I guess this much was enough, right? So if the only goal is getting into IITs is that. So is Physics Olympiad preparation is required? The answer is no. Is it helpful? The answer is yes. In what ways? So we can say like, okay, if you prepare for NSEP and you are able to score well in NSEP, so NSEP asks like, okay, 30 questions in 1 hour. JEE Advanced asks 18 questions in 1 hour. So if you are good enough to answer 30 questions in 1 hour, obviously you will be able to answer 18 in 1. So it helps you build up speeds first. Second, like if you actually means prepare for Olympiads, means let's say in 10th standard and 11th standard, so your approach changes. You might be able to, you will be solving like NSEP problems easily, but apart from that, your thought process, as I said earlier, like obviously you will be relying more on your basic concepts, less on type of problems, right? So your thought problem becomes that, because you started that way, and that transcends into all three subjects. So whatever you understand it like to the core of it. If you are reading something, you are not actually satisfied reading it superficially. So effectively, that actually helps you understand things better. Second, in physics Olympiads, you actually required a lot of maths. So effectively, if you are able to solve those questions, so obviously you will be working on your maths. So math doesn't scare you, right? Third thing, like in JEE, the questions are like this, okay? Let's say they give you a physical situation. Let's say if a particle moves on a hemispherical surface and they say, okay, where it will fly off. Okay. So effectively you have a situation, they are already telling you that it will move on a circular surface. And then they are asking you, okay, where it will fly off. So effectively, you know, the starting point is like, okay, normal zero karna hai, right? But in like in Olympiads, they will give you like, okay, a general situation. They won't ask you a particular situation at a particular point. So I remember like in this Chinese Olympiad, right? There was this question, there was this truck and a block was placed behind the truck, effectively. So then they said, okay, truck is moving and you give truck an acceleration or apply some brake, right? So find the displacement of block or something like it, right? So effectively, now you have to explore what can happen with the block. Whether it will stop before colliding the truck, right? So what is the condition for that? Next, if it collides with the truck front of it, so what kind of collisions can happen? Then what will be their velocities further, right? Then where again will it stop? So effectively, you kind of like start analyzing each and every situation, what can happen with it, right? So you just see a picture and you start seeing it happen, right? Okay, this is then that and that and what. So effectively, I guess that kind of like gives you a better sense of analyzing physical situations, better visualization. So to summarize what I'm saying, it helps you visualize better, it help you analyze situation better. You start relying on your basics. So effectively, again, that helps in every subjects. Strengthen your maths. So obviously that's also good. And in NSEP, obviously you work on your speed too. So obviously, like people do feel that, okay, like if you work on like a very lengthy problems, then your speed might suffer. So obviously, yes, if you just keep on working on the lengthier ones, yes, it does. But at the same time, like if you just practice a few, some questions per week of the objective type 2, so it doesn't, obviously. And last, I think because you know your basics, right? So you don't make those silly mistakes वाला thing. या आपने pseudo force लगाना भूल गए या फिर जनरल सिचुएशन है तो आपके फ्रेम में जाते हुए जब सॉल्व कर रहे हो तो सिचुएशन गलत तरीके से एनालाइज कर रहे हो.
I think that was really exhaustive. ध्रुव कभी सोचा था ये इतना डीप है, इतनी 4-5 चीजें सर ने इसको कितने ब्यूटीफुली स्ट्रक्चर करके बताया है.
He speaks like that in general.
All right. How to improve thinking level? How to think of different approaches to solve question? Visualization कैसे improve करें? तो any answers to that?
I am myself working on it right now, so I can't. I don't know. I mean, thinking, maybe just practice more. Because I myself am trying to improve that at this moment. So there is a competition called Physics Cup. last year I could not participate for whatever reason. This year I will participate. So I'm looking at that nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It needs thinking, which I am not so good at. So I'm working on that right now.
Sir, I think to better your visualization, the right time to work it on, like when you start studying physics. Okay, so first, like again, as I said, like try thinking the Olympiad way, I would say. So if you are given a situation, I think what ifs should be a part of it. Okay, ऐसा करेंगे तो क्या होगा, वैसा करेंगे तो क्या होगा, right? So if you start thinking that way at the start of your journey, why I'm saying start of your journey, because like one student get to like the end of class 11th or to start of 12th, so then the JEE pressure builds up, right? So effectively, if you have to solve, let's say, 20 questions in 1 hour, so you have to solve 20 questions now. You don't have time for what ifs. But when you are in class 11, 10, so you have multitude of times, right, where you actually can spend time on a problem, right? So I just I want to share this story. Like there is this student in class 10, Ritesh, around 26 batch. So there is this problem, right? One of his friend gave him this problem. So a particle moves with a constant speed on a circle, right? And the other particle obviously is chasing him. So they said, okay, they always stay on the same line, right? So he said, I'm stuck initially. So what I able to get was their omega will be same. So I said, okay, there you have it, right? If omega is same, their VR, right? That's sorry, V theta wala velocity. Net velocity, you can find VR, right? So he said, yes, sir. The problem is solved. So then he solved the problem. He told me, okay, when the chase will be over. Then I said, okay, let's work on it. What else you can find? So I said, okay, find out the acceleration of the particle who is chasing, right? Find out, okay, what kind of trajectory will it follow, and so, right? So I gave him 2 or 3 more questions to solve. So then he solved them and he sent the solution back to me. And at the end, what I found the thing beautiful is at the end he said okay, sir, I actually checked for it, and when the velocity of the chaser and chased ones is same, so the trajectory is the circular one. So you can see means if you start thinking about it, your thought kind of evolves beyond what teacher teaches, right? So you kind of start thinking what are the limiting cases are, what a situation, what can happen in a situation on your own. So I guess that is how it actually means you have wings to your mind. You have to give wings to your mind so that it can think freely.
So probably to summarize what you're saying is, first of all, it can happen when you are at leisure, and by the time you come to end of 11th or you are in 12th, that leisure, you're robbed of that leisure because JEE pressure adds on to you, especially for the ones who are preparing for JEE, who have core as JEE. But when you're in 10th, it's all about not stopping with finding an answer, but probably create some tons of questions from the same situation that you are encountering. So the moment you start doing it, I'm pretty sure automatically visualization will come to you. Automatically, you will start seeing things a lot better than probably what you are doing it today. I have any recommendation there, and I'm sure there would be probably tons of other things, mechanics ke saath, fluids, heat and thermo, electro-optics, any thumb rules?
I think you should know what you are not good at. So if you just don't know, then as I said, Google is there. If you are asking in terms of books, there is very good theory in Morin, or I use that. I don't know about others.
It's good.
But there are many. To learn, that's it. To solve problems, there are practically every Olympiad has some mechanics problem or the other, so you can do that. Or if you are So, I mean, even some JEE books might have that. So one can. But the essence is you should know what you don't know. That's the biggest, I mean.
How would you know that what you don't know?
No, like what specific thing you are not good at. Like
Okay.
if I say that I don't know mechanics, I am not good at mechanics. What in mechanics? Is it that I am not able to apply the correct thing in the correct place? Is it that I am not able to understand why mechanics is the way it is? Is it that I am able to understand everything, I am able to apply everything, I am not comfortable with the math? So what is wrong that you figure out and accordingly?
So what is the solution to the first problem that you said? Like, let's say if you are applying wrong things in the wrong places, what can be the reason behind it and solution for it?
Yeah, I had that problem. Read more in video. You will learn what to apply where it's written very clearly.
Okay. So what did you learn? Means like what kind of thing were going wrong? What did you learn?
So I mean, I had lots of wrong concepts, especially in mechanics. Lots of wrong concepts. And those slowly they got cleared out from that book. That's why I said it.
And I guess for the maths part, you were saying if you're bad at maths, like
So you're bad
keep
at
working
math.
on one concept at a time, right?
Yeah.
Again, I would again said like for the basic learner, obviously like it's very hard to know all the ifs and buts of a derivation, right? So when can you apply a concept? When you can't, right? And when you can't, like why can't you apply that concept, right? So for a basic learner, it's difficult, right? So obviously, like once you are through one basic round, like maybe let's say if you have done HCV, right? So I guess then as Dhruv is suggesting, like maybe like all the basic concepts that we apply in mechanics, derive them from ground up on your own. Why derivations? Because like at each step of derivation, when we come to like a particular result, for example, F equals to ma or torque equals to I alpha or angular momentum is conserved, we kind of take a lot of assumptions in between, right? So if we are able to know like, okay, what assumption did we apply? So when we say, okay, right, we can use angular momentum conservation. So what were the assumption that you take to? So never remember like conserve angular momentum or write torque equals to alpha, but I would say like you should remember, okay, if these assumptions are true, then I would apply torque equals to alpha. If these are true, then I will apply this. And if these are not true, then this is what I will do. So I think that will stop you making conceptual mistakes at least. So, but again, I think that's kind of like a hard way to learn things, not the easy way. And I think that one can do once he know at least like what the basic concepts are.
So again, so what you're talking about is you're talking about an approach basically, where approach is first to complete the first basic round of the books, and then probably you may read different tons of books, but ultimate thing is try to derive each and every result from bottom, and while doing so you will start understanding and appreciating so many ifs and buts that were probably assumed behind your first round of conclusions of a particular formulas or so.
So just to give an example, so like means about like maybe 3 years back, when I used to write like torque equals to I alpha. So I came to this realization one day that you can write torque equals to I alpha. In that I alpha, for that to be defined, whether like you can write torque equals to I alpha about a point on the body or like maybe instantaneous axis of rotation. Because for about all other points, you can't actually say like all the points are moving with same alpha. So it happens, right?
Okay, cool.
So effectively, like, so as I think Dhruv was saying, like means if you're making a mistake, try to find out like whether it is a conceptual type or not. Calculation ones are like, okay, if you have good concentration, you can improve upon. Conceptual ones are the ones like which are hard to root out. So if you are making a mistake, if you learn from it, okay, I applied it, but it is not valid here to apply some concept because of these reasons. So go back to the concept, try to make it complete that, okay, I can't apply this when this is happening. So when this is happening, I should go like this. So that way I think like, and if you solve one good booklet, I think it will check all of your concepts. So that way I guess like, if you are not deriving equation ground up, or you are not able to get all the ifs and buts. So that's like the second way, learning through your mistakes.
Chandan sir, and Dhruv also, any pitfalls, traps that you feel students should avoid while preparing for Olympiads?
Sorry, will answer.
No, you can also answer. What?
Let me think. Yeah, this thing I think I said, but like everything is very dependent on luck. The reason, so me doing good at something or anybody in general in this Olympiad scheme of things, it's a lot dependent on luck, because ultimately there are only 5 spots on the team. Now, by mistake, maybe you may, for whatever reason, you may not do so well, and you may just not get selected. For whatever, not just Olympiad. But because there are so many people and there are so few spaces to fill, it happens. And so it could very well have happened with me also. I was the last person to get selected in the Indian team. So, I mean, it's not the Olympiad in general, it's not a great measurement stick for how good you are at a subject. And so you should not let that affect you. That's all. Right. Looking at what is on your paper that, okay, I have passed so-and-so exam, that's not such a good measure of what you are as a person or what you are in the subject. Because it is very well possible that maybe I would not have been selected for this spot then. I would still be going to the same institute, I would still be studying the same things, I would still be wanting to pursue the same career. So it makes very little difference. That's all.
It just adds like a validation, or it doesn't act like a validation?
It does help you like feel good about yourself, but beyond that it's just another exam. Right? Because 10 hours of theory and experiment are not going to decide how much you know in a subject. It's the exact same as when we say that JEE is not going to decide what you are as a person. Exactly the same thing. These 10 hours of an Olympiad exam are not going to.
So coming back to the original question, my question was pitfalls and traps that students should avoid.
Yeah, so exactly, that's a trap. Right?
So I mean,
the trap of thinking that this is going to define you as a person. Do not fall into that. Study it for a subject. Study it with fun.
Just for the love of it, not because you want to like achieve something out of it.
Exactly.
It's about enjoying the journey.
How deep that answer is. Actually this answer is very, very deep. Dhruv, students have also been asking your experience in camp, IPHO. Any pointers there? What like preparation that you were made to do in camp?
In camp, primarily you are taught how to do experimentation, because let's face it, at least I am not so good at it. And in general, we are not exposed to so much of it in school or otherwise. So major thing that you learn is experiment. And then there are tests to select the team. There are 2 theory tests and 2 experimental tests. And yeah, that's it. I mean, there is not much that you will learn in theory at all. You maybe 1 or 2 new things. They do have lectures, but I think like most of the people attending already knew everything that was required. So yeah, experiment was the main thing that we really learned.
Okay.
And theory tests. And yeah, it's like a 2-week program. So it's very, I will say, tiring. Not because you're working so much, but more because you're constantly under that pressure that, yeah, I need to do good on the test. And at least I was within that. So, yeah, that's all.
And after getting selected for Indian team in that PDT, anything else?
Yeah, then there you're just made to practice more experience. So at HBCSE, they have the apparatuses of previous years, IPHO and SHO, so they make you practice that. And in terms of theory, obviously, they also have their theoretical tasks, which the people at HBCSE frame and give to.
So PDT is more like, it's like simulating IPHO, past IPHOs for students.
Not really a simulation, but it's a very fun experience as compared to OCSE. Because like in OCSE, it would also have been fun if I didn't have the tension of, karna hai abhi karna. PDT is a very nice experience because like you have 4 other people in the team whom you have a lot to learn from. At least I had a lot to learn from all of them. And it's very nice to have like discussion amongst 4 or 5 people, especially in theory, because in experiment you're just, doing the whole experiment for 5 hours. But in theory, there is a lot to learn from others. I did that.
Cool. And when you went to this Japan at international stage, what difference you felt with students from other countries? How different were they from us? Any particular country students who really impressed you a lot?
Chinese, obviously. Yeah, no. So there are lots of misconceptions in the media for whatever political reasons that ये यहाँ के लोग ऐसे होते हैं, वैसे होते हैं, ऐसा होता है, वैसा होता है. It's nothing. The whole, I think, all the students everywhere are exactly the same. I mean, more or less. I was very honored to meet the Chinese team because they are such smart people and they are also better people than us in terms of like, they are very humble, soft-spoken, nice people and very human, very nice to talk to. And yeah, in general, we did not speak so much about study work with any other team. We were just talking about life in different countries. So we made lots of friends from like Armenia, Saudi, lots of countries, Mexico, Spain.
Yeah. Oh my God! So imagine, Chandan sir, somebody preparing so deeply for Physics Olympiad, representing India at international stage. Ultimate point is those people are wonderful humans. I mean,
yes, that's what you learn from it because it's not something you expect because you would expect it's such a different place, so people should be so different, and I don't know. It is either that we are, in fact, it is that case that as a country we are, or as a kind of people, we are so self-obsessed. We don't know enough about anybody other than India. So the other people know a lot about India, but we don't know about anything other than India. So that open-mindedness is not there within us, which we should study. So that's what I was aiming to do over there, learning more about other places, other cultures. Yeah.
Chandan sir, when did you come to know about his gold medal? And were you in touch when he was there in Japan?
Okay, I think Dhruv had this roaming there.
Yeah, I had roaming.
So we didn't talk much when he was there. But I guess like I knew means the day results were declared.
Dhruv, simple 1-2 liners of for 9th standard students, 10th standard students, 11th, 12th. Just some message for those students.
Okay. Whatever thing you specifically like, stick to it. Because at this stage, the whole world is going to be saying, this is good for you, that is good for you, follow this, follow that. You should not so much. Don't listen. That's all.
Oh my God, such a simple piece of advice. चंदन सर मतलब आप कई बार आपको लगता नहीं था बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती थी यार इसको यार तू ये सोच ले वैसा सोच ले इतना सिंपल बहुत ही सिंपल सा एक चीजों में ही his thought is. So I think but point is very right, Dhruv. Students, what Dhruv is ultimately saying is, and what he has been saying through this entire interview, entire discussion, probably it's his motto also. Keep it simple.
And do what you like. That's
Do
all.
what you like. Simple one-liners. There's no complications around it. And all those who are probably complicating it or probably trying to help you, of course, if people are trying to help you, but you are the best judge for yourself. This is what Dhruv is ultimately saying. Be it which books to follow, be it what material to do, be it methods of preparation, sleeping time, timetable. Just need to keep things simple. Isn't Dhruv amazing? Well, the biggest thing that I learned from this conversation is keep it simple. If you are passionate about anything, if you really love anything, then there is no secret recipe of success. It is just about keep trying, and keep it simple. So, my dear students, if you too want to go for gold, if you too want to bring gold for India next year, Vedantu is just the right place for you. We have dedicated Physics Olympiad courses starting with stage 1 preparation and going till international Physics Olympiad preparation. To know more details, you can check the video in the I button or the link in the description box. Wish you all the best. Take care.